In today's video, we're going to explore what makes a strategy gamer different, odd, special. Are we the ancient Greek philosophers, the tea-drinking grown-ups, the military generals of gaming? Compared to the bros of first-person shooters, or Harry Potter, look at the size of my wand of role-playing games. Let's take a look at what makes us tick, starting with a very simple question. Why did we choose strategy? The next 30 seconds may sound familiar to you. In the year 1999, at a time where GoldenEye with 3 friends in your front room was normal, playing against them over the internet was positively out of this world. A friend approaches you and explains all you need is a PC and a copy of Age of Empires, then 8 of us can play on a school night. You've got a 56k modem, right? We all stay at home and connect over the internet, just make sure nobody needs to use the phone at the same time. If that scenario sounds like your first foray into the strategy genre, you're not alone. For many, RTS games were the first way to play against your friends over the internet. So what does that tell us about strategy gamers? What happened years later is what provides our first insight. After years of being hugely popular, strategy and RTS games in particular became unfashionable. There are many theories why. Perhaps as soon as consoles gained connectivity, it just became easier to play games with your friends over console, and RTS games simply didn't translate well to console. This is the first point at which strategy gamers separated from the popular crowd, like the evolutionary branch that separated Homo sapiens from Neanderthals. Some of us upgraded the PC from the old cream family computer to lightning-quick behemoths with 32 megabytes of RAM, Windows XP, and increasing levels of RGB. We stuck with it, investing both time and money, with perhaps less friends to play with, but with a whole world of competitors unlocked by our 512 kilobyte broadband connections. The possibilities were endless, as long as they were within the same country, or potentially our nearest neighbours too. Vive la France. So here is our first insight into what makes strategy gamers different. We know what we like, and we stick with it. Whether we chose the genre or it fell into our laps through circumstance, we didn't abandon it. We are the faithful puppy dogs, the fluffy golden retrievers of gaming. Perhaps we're just stubborn and don't like change, but faithful sounds better, so we'll just stick with that. But what is it about strategy games that we find so appealing, and what does that reveal about us? Strategy games are made up of the following factors: balance, control, logic, numbers, patience, and, of course, ruthlessness. If these are the personification of strategy games, it makes sense that these are also found in the gamers themselves. But do we truly enjoy balance, or do we prefer chasing perfection? Fixing a broken system, frantically bucketing the water from our sinking ship, is what we spend 95% of our time doing in these games. We don't like balance, we don't like perfection. We like taking a system that's damn ugly and turning it into a Mona Lisa. Or in other words, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Strategy gamers don't care about instant gratification. They don't care about getting the chicken dinner. We enjoy fixing, balancing, tinkering, and a small part of us hopes the system is never 100% fixed, as that would be the end of the fun. When you meet someone, you can tell 110% if they are a strategy gamer, because you didn't like the fact that I just used 110%, did you? When I clearly should have said 100%. We do indeed like to be in control. Some people call it a god complex, but comparing us to other gamers, consider an orchestra. Which instrument would we play? First-person shooter bros would be the first violin. The role-playing wizards would certainly be the piccolo. But strategy? We'd be the conductor. Having that sense of control, the god's eye view, issuing commands, is what gives us that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. But this video is not all about flattery, far from it. Because a strategy gamer has by far the most brutal smack talk in all of GameTown. We all know a player who won't shut up throughout a game, but on the whole, we're a reserved and gentlemanly, or ladylike, bunch. Until something makes us snap, usually losing, and then a flurry of calculated and cutting remarks ensue. You don't even know what smack talk is until you've dared to venture into the realm of online multiplayer of an older RTS game. We can be right arseholes, basically. Perhaps the most common trait found in strategy gamers is how we enjoy learning new systems almost to the point of self-torture. A game isn't a challenge if it doesn't require hours of study, equivalent to earning a doctorate. Attempting to balance an interlinking seesaw of mechanics, failing time and time again, but learning from each failure and applying it to the next attempt. But most of all, we love learning how to exploit and entirely fuck over systems like no others. Probing for the weaknesses in a system to be exploited and our internal monologue laughing like a demon possessed when we find one. These are the traits often found amongst our ranks. This does, however, make it difficult for us to move on to new games as we come to know our current games so intimately. It's a big commitment to move on, knowing how much we will analyze a newcomer with obsessive detail. Ultimately, a new challenge is irresistible. However, it's a big step that doesn't happen often. But we are not materialistic, not at all. Our love for mechanics and conquering stupidly complex systems means we care little for materialistic things such as pretty graphics or newness in general. We will often be found quite happy playing a 20-year-old game, not because it's good to look at, but it just has the right set of mechanics to keep us hooked. Such things stand the test of time, if you let them. With that said, we are often demanding when it comes to the small details of a game. The sort of detail another gamer may let go or not notice at all is often picked apart by a strategy gamer and analysed to death. To the point where I think being a developer of an RTS game has to be one of the hardest jobs on the planet, but perhaps one of the most rewarding when you get it right. Either way, I appreciate but do not envy those developers. Not even a bit. An important and reoccurring factor we come across most is nostalgia, and the way strategy gamers seem to have a particular weakness for it. As I said, we don't mind playing an older game where many write them off, simply because they're old. But why are we like that? Probably because it was a game we played in our youth, and picking that game up for an hour, either alone or with a childhood friend, gives us a chance to relive that youth. Of course, all gamers do this to an extent, but I wager strategy gamers more than most. Graphics may age, whereas good mechanics are timeless. Perhaps we are a bunch of softies, after all. So what have we learned? That strategy gamers are loyal, stubborn, fluffy golden retrievers who prefer things to be broken rather than fixed, probably struggle with change, don't appreciate improper use of percentages, enjoy telling other people what to do, a bit too cutting with our smack talk, almost certainly suffer from some lower back pain, and aren't exactly young anymore. 90% of us are probably of a certain vintage. Obviously, a lot of this is tongue-in-cheek, but I like to think most of what I've said is based on some sort of logic that many can relate to. Strategy fans have been through a lot over the years, from being on top of the world of gaming to disappointment after disappointment as we wait for the return of the golden age of RTS, which may never come. But one thing is for certain, there is no better time than now to be a strategy fan, with new AAA titles released, a ton more on the horizon, ever increasing ways of playing with new and old friends alike, and of course, perhaps most of all, we have those passionate enough to keep the old games alive, with dedicated modders and all of the content creators that refuse to let the sun set on their favourite game. We're a strange bunch and probably best described as the geeks of gaming, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I will leave you with this. If you feel like a strategy gamer lost and surrounded on all sides in a world of Fortnite and Call of Duty, you're not alone. You've just found a place with many like-minded people, and I hope you enjoy your stay. If you want to agree or disagree with what I've said, please do so in the comments below, and if you're a fan of strategy, you may find my reviews and guides of interest. See ya.